Hello and hi, YouTube familia. Celestial here, and you are tuning into Celestial Evolution. Cue the sparkles. Celestial Evolution. Good and evil, evil and good. To be or not to be? That is the question. I have been inflicted with the retributive hands of karma for as long as I can remember. Even before I could think of doing something wrong, my karmic mother intervened with a firm slap on my behind, pushing me towards the righteous path. I fought back at times, you know it, as I didn't want to be the stale good girl that no one wanted to be around because of my judgmental, albeit logical reasoning. But I even annoyed myself sometimes. Conversations to myself sounded something like this. What are you doing?
What? I'm just texting him back.
Oh yeah, text him back. He was fine.
Yeah, texting him that you're gonna meet him at his house.
No.
Okay, fine. I was just gonna go over there for a drink, okay? Is that what you wanted to hear? How long has it been since you drank?
I don't know, like a few months.
So, considering we all know you're already a lightweight and we all know what alcohol leads to, I just don't feel you are able to handle this type of temptation right now. It's just a drink.
Yeah, chill out. We're just gonna go over there for a drink.
Look, it's a harmless meetup, okay? Why you always invite her? You're a grown girl. Netflix and chill, okay? Netflix and chill. That's all I'm saying. You know the promise you made to yourself, Celestial. Don't make me remind you.
Oh.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I don't like you sometimes, but you're right. I'll just text them and say, meet me at the coffee shop. Coffee? Well, shoot. Make sure you put some cream in your espresso. Maybe on the fifth date.
These are the deliberations that go on in my head. In all seriousness, though, this topic today was sparked by a conversation I had with my mom. My mom was talking about celebrity men, their promiscuity, and their abuse of the power that their prestige afforded them. It got me thinking about how there are some people who can do so much wrong and still get blessed with so much good. Where is their karmic justice? This is where Alan Watts' interpretation of Carl Jung's philosophy on good and evil was so poignant to me. All opposition, he says, has its resolution in its underlying unity. What does that mean? What it means to me is that good and evil have a common ground. What is that common ground? The vessel in which it shares. Us, our bodies. Well, life in general. All energy is manifested through the face of life, and life sees no color. It sees no bias. It just is what it is. This truth has spoken to me most clearly in the form of movies. There's this great movie called The Train to Busan, which is a South Korean action horror film. I love Asian horror films, by the way. I think they do it the best. But this one I highly recommend. It depicts the story of a man returning his daughter to her mother as they share joint custody. The conflict arises when a virus that turns people into man-eating zombies is introduced in the beginning of the movie. A zombie movie, another one. Watch this one, though. If there's any other zombie movies that you watch this one. The adventure begins when an infected woman boards the train and starts infecting the passengers who are trapped on the moving train. The beauty of this movie is highlighted by the very well written out characters. It was a great script. The dad of the daughter is an ordinary guy, right? He's not good, he's not bad, just an average person, like all of us. He works for a finance company trying to take care of his kid and living in this ambivalence of shared custody. The nature slash character of each person is quickly established as the uninfected passengers congregate together to figure out the best course of action to survive. The notable characters were the father, his daughter, a couple which was like a man and his pregnant wife, and the CEO of a company who was a disgusting person. As everyone is trying to survive, there are heroes who sacrifice themselves and people like the CEO who sacrifice others to save himself. Towards the end of the movie, the CEO is still alive. All the while, I'm wondering, when the heck is this mother effer gonna die, right? He's just terrible. Watch the movie, you'll understand what I mean. But the end of the movie is justified for me by who the writers allowed to survive. Though I was happy with the ending, it made me think about good and evil. There are some people who do some despicable things in their life and die old and healthy. How is this possible? Where is their karmic justice? I mean, some of us believe in heaven or hell, but has anyone truly experienced either? Do they exist? It's like our rationalization is they're going to go to hell anyway, so they're not really getting away with it. But life as I've interpreted is formulaic. Google proves this via this article, The Secret Formula of Life, which was written by Ian Tang. Ian says that the formula to life is E, event, plus R, response, equals O, the outcome. I would like to change one variable for my argument's sake. E for event plus C, choice, equals outcome. I am an avid believer of the universal paradox. You are free to choose, but not free from the consequence of that choice. I always thought this to be some kind of karmic saying, but in my last video, I discussed a word which was connotation. Consequence has a negative connotation to me. The consequences of my choices has like an ominous tone associated to it. By definition, though, consequence has a few definitions, but the definition that resonated most to me for the sake of my argument today were, in accordance to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, consequence as a noun is defined as something produced by a cause or necessarily following from a set of conditions. Or more simply put, consequence means as a result of. This equation was complete confirmation of my theory. I like the word choice better for this equation because it seems more deliberate than the word response. I don't know, response just seems like it's just actionable and I'm following through with it. The result can be good or bad, and even those ideas are subjective. The only truth is the choice we make. Whatever results from that is the gamble we take when we engage with life. Let's use some example for our mind's eye. All right, so we have an event. The event is you find a smartphone or a phone on the shelf of the grocery store. You have some choices. I'll use two for example. You can take it home to unlock it and sell, or you can take it to the lost and found. The outcome, which is you can make money off the phone if you decided to sell it, or the person who lost their phone finds it because you are being a good Samaritan by returning it. This is a true story. This almost happened to me, but I found it. All right, another event. This one's not for me. I don't know who does this. Dairy ice cream is presented, but you're lactose intolerant. You have some choices. Eat the ice cream or don't eat the ice cream. Outcome, you can have gas all day and break out from the hormonal imbalances, or maintain some dignity, avoid a very, 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 very stinky room, and save the relationships that you might have. I don't say this to pit good or bad behavior against one another. I say this to say that life is not meant to be viewed purely through the lens of our paradigm, which is a pattern of living. Our paradigm is not entirely our own, despite how much we like to think that it is. It is also constructed by our social constructs, which are like our family, the society in which we live, our religious constructs, the rights and wrongs that were introduced to us early in life, and so many other factors. Which is why I always say what's right to me may not be right to you, and vice versa. Good and evil lives in all of us. It doesn't have to inhabit just the extremes of what our minds populate when we think of these terms. Like evil could be murder and rape. Good could be godlike or angelic. These are very far extremes. There's a lot of gray area in between these extremes, like stealing, cheating for badness, right? Lying. For good, you can like hold the door open for someone behind you or not gossip for the day. We have all dabbled in one or more of these types of good and bad behavior in moderation or in excess. Does that mean we're more good than evil or more evil than good? This is not a one-size-fits-all discussion. But if it were, I would sum it up as this, which is my most absolute favorite saying because I believe it transcends to all areas of life. It is what it is. It is what it is. My ex-boyfriend was heavy into philosophy, and I owe him so much for opening up the eyes of this girl who was once boxed into the absolutism that was religion. And I never questioned it. I never even thought about it logically. I just obeyed. He left me with a thought that rendered me speechless. He said, "What if I were to tell you, Celestial, that true sin was to go against yourself? True sin was to go against yourself." There is this idea of the circle of life. Mufasa described it best in the Disney movie The Lion King in his famous speech. Mufasa: "Everything you see exists together in a delicate balance." I'm trying to do a deep voice. As king, you need to understand that balance and respect. As king, you need to understand to balance and respect all the creatures, from the crawling ant to the leaping antelope. Young Simba: "But Dad, don't we eat the antelope?" Mufasa: "Yes, Simba, but let me explain. Good lad. When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the grass... When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. And so we all are connected in the great circle of life." You understand? Okay. We all have a part to play in this circle of life. I believe we have an inner template that we must follow for order and equilibrium to exist. Is it evil for the lion to kill the gazelle? Well, if he didn't, his pride would starve. That's in their blood, right? To hunt. We have to choose our good and evil to live in balance and harmony. Where there is balance, there will always exist deviations of good and bad. But we should always strive to aim for balance. The way I like to visualize that is like if, like in math, there's like a timeline, right? And then you have the middle, which is the equal part, the equilibrium, the zero. And then you have the deviations of negative and positive. Well, in equilibrium, that's where we want to strive to be, because that is what's going to keep everything in order, from tilting to one rather than tilting from one side to the other. But in life, these things teeter back and forth. And in our vessel, both of these concepts exist. Finding balance, I believe, is being completely and utterly true to yourself. Now, there can be that argument of like, if true to yourself is raping a child or a dog or a goat, killing someone, I think that you should probably talk to somebody about that, get that together. But ultimately, staying true to yourself is what brings life into fruition, and sometimes that means dabbling in the dark side. So with that being said, I will leave this topic as such. You have been tuning into Celestial Evolution. I hope that you will keep looking, learning, and evolving. I'll catch you on the dark side. Bye.